Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of the Sarah Seams podcast. My name's Sarah. I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my partner Troy and our cats Alex and Moo. This is my little corner of the internet where I share all about my crafty projects, mostly knitting, but also sewing and crochet here or there and whatever else strikes my fancy. But today it is mostly knitting, and this is going to be a big episode. It's been almost a month since I last recorded. So I should also say, because I always forget, you can find me on Instagram at Sarah_Seams and on Ravelry at Sarah Ribble. So yes, it's been about a month, probably a month, I guess, since my last regular podcast episode. Since then, I have posted my fall sewing plans video. So if you're interested in checking that out, I will link that up here. Or you can just find it in the feed. And today's format is going to be a little bit different just because I have so much to share with you. And since I last podcasted, I have been to a fiber festival. I went on a trip to the West Coast. I've been to the Renaissance Fair. What else? I feel like a lot has happened. Oh yeah, I started hosting local craft nights. So I'm going to talk about all of that. So the format, I will start with what I'm wearing, then I will talk about finished objects and whips. I'm also doing a giveaway today, so I will talk more about that after I finish FOs and whips. And today is gonna be acquisition heavy at the end because of all those travels and things I just mentioned. So after we do the giveaway, there's gonna be a section at the end where I talk about the festival and the traveling, and I will kind of share my acquisitions along with talking about those events and sharing some additional video footage with you from those events at the end. So if you're not as interested in the acquisitions and you don't want to stick around for the extra footage, after the giveaway is when I will be sharing all the acquisitions and footage. So that's how we're going to do it today. I think that's all the upfront admin stuff. Oh, I'm also going to be talking about the WestKnits MKAL today, so in the whip section. So I will be getting into that more at that point, but just if you're trying to avoid spoilers, I will be sure to give a spoiler warning before I start talking about that. Okay, so let's start with what I'm wearing. This is one of my lintos. I made this earlier in the year. Rebecca from the Crayabea and Amy Palco hosted a Let's Linto Knitalong, and I knit 2 lintos during that time. I'll stand up so you can see it. The pattern is by Yona Hietala, who is one of the co-founders of Lina Magazine. I love this pattern. It's just a really simple raglan, but it fits me so well. This is size 4, so I think I had about 4 inches of positive ease. At first I thought the raglan drop was a little bit too low, but the more I wear it, the more I just love how it fits me. It has a slightly cropped, like bracelet length sleeve. Mine is cropped and it's like the perfect crop length for me. And the yarn I used is Camellia Fiber Co.'s Yak DK, which if not my all-time favorite, one of my favorite yarns that I've ever used. And they currently have a pre-order open for this yarn again, which is why I wanted to wear it today. So I think I made this sweater in like February or March. I've worn it quite a few times since then, and I would say the yarn's holding up really well. It definitely does pill a little bit around the underarms. You can probably see that. But it's so soft and drapey and lustrous and just beautiful to wear. This sweater feels like it's just like luxury. Like if I want to feel really good, I put this sweater on. It just feels like a silky warm hug, and I just love it so much. So this is the chocolate color, and I did actually pre-order a few more skeins. Sorry, there was a fuzz floating around. I did just pre-order a couple skeins of the matcha color, which to me does not really look like matcha. I think matcha tea is like a much brighter green, but their matcha is a very dark, like foresty green. So I'm gonna make, if not another linto, something similar when I get that yarn in that color, because I just find that of all my sweaters, I think I might reach for this one the most. And I really love to wear it. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. And if you're interested in trying the yarn, they are currently accepting pre-orders. I can put a link down below for their website. Sorry, there is a lot of fuzz floating around today. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing. Let's jump into finished objects. So if you've seen the past few episodes, you've probably seen me sharing all of my summer sock Knitalong socks. That is a Knitalong hosted by Sari Nordland. She does it every summer. It takes place over 4 months, and you get 3 skeins of sock yarn and you make 4 pairs of socks. So in September, we were doing the last pair, and the last pair usually uses all 3 colors. So these are the scrapbook socks. I think last time I had the first one finished. So it's this really cute top-down pattern that has these chevron lace stripes and intermixed like pearl bump stripes. Really, really cute. So this was one of my travel projects when we went to the West Coast, and I finished the second one on the plane on the way out there, but I ran out of the pink yarn. So here's the second one. I just decided, instead of substituting a different yarn color, I had quite a bit of the green left, so I just finished it in green. So yeah, they are sisters, not twins. This one is like exactly as written, and the second one just has a little bit more green. But I really, really like how they turned out, and I enjoy participating in this knit-along every year, but it is very satisfying when you have finished the knit-along to have a beautiful box of coordinated socks. So here's all the socks from the Summer Sock Knit-along this year. My yarns, the green was a Knitter's Homestead. It was their twisty sock base in the color Moonstone, which that is a beautiful yarn. The pink was Backcountry Knitter, their twisty sock base in the color Dusty Rose, I think. And then I cannot remember what the burgundy one was, and I feel very bad about that. And then again, used them all together in the last pair. So the first pair was the Summer Solstice socks. I can just pull one out and show them to you. They were these really beautiful cable knit socks. So that was the first pair that we did in June. And then in July, we did the Minerva socks, which I really liked these. These were toe up, and they have these little tulip cables on them. In August. In August, we did the Summer Girl socks, which were, they look very cute. This was probably my least favorite pair to knit out of this knit along. So it's basically a vanilla sock, but this ruffle I found to be really challenging and hard on my hands to knit. It's just a lot of stitches to deal with. I don't know, something about these, it just was, I mean, I liked all 4 designs this year, but these ones were probably my least favorite. And then the last was the scrapbook socks. And I think this was probably my favorite design from this year. I could see myself making these again. Although I really liked the Minerva socks as well with the little tulips. But those were toe up and these were cuff down, and I just love me some cuff down socks. So yeah, I will put a picture in here of what all 4 pairs look like together, and it is always just so satisfying to be able to put them all together like this at the end of the summer and have a beautiful set of socks to take me into next year. So that is the Summer Sock Knit Along finished for 2023. Okay, next I have a couple of hats. So when I was in Eugene, Oregon, visiting my cousin, we went to the local yarn shop there, and my cousin is, I would say she's an occasional knitter. I think she enjoys knitting, but she's in grad school, she's super busy, so she doesn't always like find the time for it, but she really wanted to knit herself a hat. So we went to the yarn store and got yarn, and we cast on hats together. And we were knitting the Manhattan Hat Light by Tori Yu, and here is my version. Let me actually grab, I have an extra ball of the yarn because I can't remember it off the top of my head. So the yarn is Yarnalia Marvel. The color is Ruby Shoes. It is 60% superwash wool, 20% acrylic, 20% nylon. So my cousin wanted a bright blue hat, and the same yarn base was the one that she chose. So I thought to go along with her, I would use the same yarn. I have to say it's not a yarn I would have normally picked up for myself, but I really enjoyed working with it. It's very nice, and it was very affordable. I think this was like $4 or $8 like for a ball. So I bought 2 balls, but I only used one because I decided, initially I was planning to knit the double folded brim or the single folded brim. But I decided to just knit the brimless version. And so I only needed 1 ball of yarn, and look how nice those decreases are. I love the shape that it creates. So yeah, this is washed and blocked, and it just really is a nice yarn. Like, I think the low acrylic content, like if you didn't know there was acrylic in this, I think you would not guess that there was acrylic in it. It feels very nice and woolly. It has like a slight heathering. Yeah, the color is very beautiful. It's just a really nice, simple hat. So my intention was to knit this for Troy. So I cast it on while we were there in Oregon with my cousin, and so I could help her to get her started, and finished it, and Troy tried it on and he didn't like it. So he tends to like a more rounded top, more fitted hat, and this one, definitely the way that the top is shaped where it has this point, it really needs to be a little bit poofy and have a little bit of slouch to look right. Like if you pull it right down on your head, you kind of get these little like weird pointy bits. So I decided to keep this one for myself as a slouchy beanie, and I really like it a lot. I'm gonna add it to my hat box. I feel like it's like a weird puppet right now, but yes, so this is the Manhattan Hat Light by Toriu. So this is the sport weight version. There's also like a worsted version and a bulky version. Yeah, I found it very enjoyable to knit. I would definitely knit it again. And like I said, I have 1 extra ball of the yarn left. So I will tell you in a minute what I'm planning to do with that. I should say I knit the size medium in the Manhattan Hat. So I have 1 more hat here. And this one is a bit of a bittersweet knit. A coworker of mine was recently diagnosed with breast cancer, and you know, she is in very good spirits about it, but it is an aggressive form and her treatments are going to be quite intense. So my team and I have all like rallied together to do whatever we can for her. So, you know, we're doing donations and some other things, but also a couple of us are knitting hats for her for when she undergoes her chemo treatment. And so our boss had brought in a bunch of yarn and you know, needles, and suggested that we do that. So the yarn that I grabbed from her was it's a Lang Cashmere Premium, which is beautiful. I've actually never knit with cashmere before. Well, I've not like 100% cashmere, and that's what this is. And she had these 3 colors. So there's this lighter pink, a dark navy heather, and this kind of gray taupe color. And I decided to knit this hat, which is the Tremblant Toque. The design is by Diana Walla for Espace Tricot. And I liked it because it just had this little bit of stranded color work, and then the rest was plain. It has a rounded top, it's fairly fitted, and then it has this simple striped brim. And I really liked how simple and clean the color work was. This yarn is really beautiful. It's extremely soft. I have to say I didn't necessarily love knitting with it. I found the hand of it to be almost sticky, and it's so warm it kind of made my hands a little bit sweaty. I don't know, but I tried it on, of course, and it feels beautiful to wear. I'm hoping that it will keep my coworker very comfortable and warm during her treatments. Yeah, I really like this pattern. Very fun to knit. This is the size small. which is about an 18.5-inch circumference. I will say the color work restricts the stretch a little bit. It's definitely not as stretchy as a rib hat like this would be. So if you're worried about it being too small, you might want to go up a size. At one point I was like, oh, this is going to be too small. But it does fit me, and I have about a 22.5-inch head circumference. And like I said, this was the size 18.5. So it does still stretch, but if your head was any larger than mine, it would probably be a bit, the size small would probably be a bit too snug. But yeah, this is unblocked, so you can probably see the color work's pulling in a little bit, and the decreases are looking a little bit bumpy, but I think I'm just gonna do a steam block. I'm a little bit worried about the navy color running into the light pink. Here's a close-up of the color work. But yeah, I really loved knitting this. It was a super quick, satisfying knit, and I am gonna give this one to my coworker. And so Troy saw me trying it on and decided he liked that hat and liked the shape of it. So I am gonna use that other ball of the Yarnalia Marble in color Ruby Shoes that we bought in Oregon to make a version for him. So that will be the main color. And then we're gonna use a natural cream, a natural white for where here I used gray. And then where I've used navy here, that's gonna be like a dark gray so his version is gonna be mostly red with some white and charcoal as the contrast colors. So yeah, I'll probably cast that on later today or tomorrow. So that's the hats. What's next? All right. Ooh, this is a big one. This is my last knitting FO, and then I have a couple of sewing projects to share with you. So the WestKnits MKAL, which I'm not gonna share pictures or anything right now, but that started on October 5th. And we went on our trip to the West Coast at the end of September, and I have had this Cinear shawl on my needles since like May. And I was determined to finish it before I cast on the Geo Gradient MKAL. I was like, I cannot have two giant shawls on my needle at once. So I knit, that was like my main travel knitting. And then once we got back from our trip, I was working on it a lot, and I did finish my Cinear shawl. So I'm gonna actually put a picture of it in here, and then I will show you it in person and tell you about the yarn. So in this photo, I'm actually, I wore it for the first time to the Renaissance Festival, which I'll talk more about at the end, but I love how it turned out. It's absolutely enormous. The last few sections of this took so long. I mean, you got almost 500 stitches on your needles at one point. And when I got to the border, I was like, oh, I'm almost done. And then I was like, no, the border still took forever. But I'm so glad I finished it. I think it's something I will be wearing all the time. It's very, very comfortable, and I love how big it is. It's just so easy to like wrap around you or wear as like a huge scarf that almost just like covers your entire body. It's really nice. I love it a lot. So I am not really going to open it up here, but I will just show you. Here it is. It's a big lump. So it is an asymmetrical triangle. Again, the pattern is the Cinear Shawl by Andrea Mowry. I guess I can open it up. I guess I'll try and show it to you. You can see how big it is. So this half is 2-color brioche. So you can see I use this like tonal neutral yarn for my contrasting color, and I held a white mohair with that, which was my own addition. The pattern does not call for mohair, but it added such a nice softness to this. And then so it has this asymmetrical seam. I can't even show the whole thing. And then on this side, it's alternating colors of the garter. So yeah, I really like how it came out. So the other reason I added the mohair is because my main color, the gray, which was Lichen and Lace, I have the bands here, Lichen and Lace Heather Sport in the color Smoke. It's pretty rustic. It's a little bit scratchy. It doesn't bother me at all to wear, but some people would probably find it irritable. So I thought that adding the mohair would help to really soften that up, and it definitely did. So my main color was Ba Savannah yarn. It was their, so it's Ba yarn Savannah base. The color was Toasted Neutral, and it was 10% cashmere, so I have used a little bit before, 10% nylon and 80% superwash. And then I was holding it with Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the color. Does it have a color? 00634, which is just off-white. So yes, this was a huge project that I was working on for about 6 months off and on. I would say I probably knit half of it in the past 3 weeks, or the 3 weeks at the end of September. So yeah, even though I had it on my needles for a long time, I would say the majority of work on it was done in the past like month or so. But I really love it, and I'm excited to have it this fall and especially this winter to cuddle up in. And it was my first big shawl project. I have knit some smaller scarves. I have a big scarf shawl project that I've been working on for like over a year at this point. But this was my first really large shawl that I finished, and I do really like it. And I think it kind of gave me the confidence that now I know what I'm in for with this type of project, and I know that I have the ability to power through and finish them, and that I will enjoy wearing them. So honestly, as soon as I finished it, I kind of wanted to cast on another one, just because I feel like by the end, it was like totally mindless knitting for me. Like I could just pick it up. I didn't need to look at the pattern. And I really, really enjoyed it. So I kind of want to make a version that uses the recommended yarns, or like a scrappy version, which it would be really cool to do your main color as a solid and then have scrappy contrast color. Now I'm like, yeah, so I think I might make another one in the future. But yeah, so I was very proud of myself. I finished that the night before the MKAL started. So I did achieve my goal of finishing it before the WestKnits MKAL started. Okay, I'm now going to talk about a couple of sewing projects. And these, normally I share a lot of like garments for myself on here. Neither of these are garments for myself. One is a garment, not for me. But first I was just going to quickly show you. So my friend Mariah and I are into like reusable holiday wrapping, and just trying to minimize our waste in general. But we came up with the idea of getting together a couple times before the holidays to sew some bags that we could use for gifting. And so she came over last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and we sewed a bunch of holiday bags. So this time I just made zipper pouches, but I was just gonna show them to you really quick. Most of these are vintage fabrics that I either found at like a thrift store, or some of them I got at the material swap over the summer. And so here I will just show you from large to small. So here's the first one. It's this really cute like pine cone fabric, and these are just super simple zipper pouches. I didn't even follow a tutorial for this. It's just rectangles. There's the 2 outside pieces and then 2 lining pieces, and then we cut 2 pieces of quilt batting as well, and just sandwiched it. So they do have quite a bit of structure. So that's the biggest one. Then I did 3 medium-sized ones. So I've got a plaid with a black zipper. I've got this like really cute like Fair Isle-y one. If you look closely, you can see the like texture. And then I've got this really cute candy cane one that has like a lime green zipper. I also have all these like random bright colored metal zippers that I needed to use up. And then I made some little tiny ones that are print mix. So one side is plaid and the other side is the Fair Isle. And I made these mostly for like gift cards or like little jewelry boxes, so smaller gifts. So yeah, so I knocked out like 6 bags in one day, all using materials that I already had. So that felt really good, and now I will have to use less like wrapping paper and stuff this year for the holidays. So yeah, if you're interested in making something like this, there are 1.5 million tutorials on YouTube or wherever for just like a really simple zipper pouch. And they're really fun to make and a great way to cut down on your waste. Or use up scraps. And you wouldn't even have to use Christmas or holiday fabrics. Like, I feel like you could use like linen scraps or anything, and that would just like, then the thing itself is also a gift, you know, part of the gift. Okay, and the last thing is kind of unusual. So this, I have been working on this summer. I guess we started in August. I think we started in August. A friend of ours was wanting a custom made corset, and I have made quite a few. When I was in college, I made a lot of them as part of my like senior thesis show. It's something that I really love to make. I love how detailed they are, and I love all the hardware, and I just think that they're beautiful and interesting. Yeah, part of my senior fashion collection that I designed was all inspired by vintage corsets and like non-traditional lacing styles. It was a whole thing, and they were really fun to make, but it's not something that I get to make very often because it's not something that we wear a lot in day-to-day life. But a friend of ours was wanting a custom one to wear to like Renaissance festivals and as part of costumes. And they are a very particular size. They're very petite. I think they were having a hard time finding something that would fit them, that was ready to wear, or you know, I don't know. They were just having a hard time finding something, and asked if I would be open to making them a custom corset. And so I agreed to do that for her, and it's been really, really fun working with her and on this project. Like I said, I am always kind of excited to make a corset when I get the chance, and yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I just finished sewing it yesterday, and I'm gonna be delivering it to her this week so she can wear it to the Renaissance Festival next weekend, and I will put a picture of it in. So it is this really cute full bodice. It stops at the waist, so there's no hip panels or shaping. It has a bit of a dip in the front. It does cover the bust, and it has these really cute straps, which is kind of unusual, and they have the little adjustable tie, which is a nice feature as well. It laces up the front. It's fully lined and fully boned. I'm not going to talk about the pattern because it is has a very, very limited size range, like almost comically so, but it is very cute. We kind of used a pattern from Etsy as like a jumping off point, and then we had a couple of different fittings where we really like honed it in and made it exactly what she was looking for and fit to her exact body. And yeah, I made the final version yesterday, and I am obsessed with how it turned out, and I kind of want to make one for myself to wear to the Renaissance Fair next year. It's a very cute style. So yeah, that's just kind of something different that I've been working on. If anyone has like questions about how you make something like this, or if you're interested in like hearing more about it, that's something I could talk more about in a special video sometime. Like I said, not something I make very often, but it is kind of a different thing to sew that I don't know that a lot of people like would try making something like this, because it's very specialty. So yeah, if you have any questions about it, let me know. And like, yeah, I kind of want to make one for myself now too. So yeah, that is something that has been taking up a lot of my sewing time lately, so I don't yet have a lot of my fall sewing plans made up, but I'm hoping in the next few weeks I will get started on those now that this project is finished, and I'll be delivering it to our friend this week, and I'm really excited to give it to her, and I hope that she loves it. So yeah, those are my finished objects. Let me move on to works in progress. Okay, I have 4 works in progress to share with you today. They are all knitting. The first one is socks. So now that I have finished the summer sock knit-along, all of those are fairly complicated designs, so I'm kind of craving some really easy, simple, quick socks. So I am also trying to get ahead on my holiday knitting. So I decided to cast on a pair of socks that are going to be for Troy for Christmas. And I bought the yarn ages ago with him in mind and just hadn't gotten around to it yet. So let me show you the yarn. It is self-striping. So here, I've kind of been using it already, but it's kind of got red, yellow, blue, orange, brown, black, self-striping. and it's from Nomadic Yarns, who is one of my favorite self-striping dyers. The color is called Space Dad, so it's kind of NASA inspired. This is the Tweedy sock base, which is BFL, so it definitely is a bit darker. The colors are a bit more muted than they were on, say, like the Superwash sock base, but it is 85% Superwash BFL, 15% Donegal Nep. So it is a little bit tweedy. I don't think it's like super tweedy, but you do get a little bit of credit for that. So this is the cake. And then I decided I actually wanted to knit this up as a DK weight sock because I just needed a super quick and easy sock project as a palette cleanser. So I've knit the Thick Mist socks by Summerlee before, which are like a DK weight sock that's achieved by Marling 2 fingering weight yarns. So I decided to try that with the self-striping yarn by holding like the inner pole and the outer pole together to create the DK weight. And I'm knitting the Thick Mist reverse socks, which have the reverse stockinette texture. And I did finish the first one. It's not blocked yet, but here it is. Oh, you can see the tweed really well. So yeah, I think I got a really interesting effect by holding the self-striping yarn double. So you can see there's a 2x2 cuff, and then the body, the leg, and the foot are all reverse stockinette, which I think is interesting. There's a heel flap and gusset heel, and then the toe is knitted in plain stockinette. So you kind of are alternating between like knitting right side out and then knitting inside out a couple of times throughout the sock, which is really not that fiddly. Otherwise, it's just a vanilla DK weight sock. So I think I knit this up in like 2 sittings over 2 days. But yeah, by holding the yarns, the self-striping yarns double, certain areas, like both yellows are being held together at the same time. So you just see yellow, but then like here, the peach and the brown are being held together. So you get more of a marl and like the red and the navy. And that's pretty consistent throughout. So yeah, I feel like it gave this really cool effect of like some solid stripes and some marl stripes. And I think they turned out really nice. And yeah, you really are getting a lot of credit for the tweed when it's knitted up. So yeah, I just think these are kind of fun. Just a little experiment. So I will be knocking the other one of these out, and then those are going to be a gift knit. Yeah, man, I really like it. It looks like really good on the camera. At first I was like, are these crazy? And maybe they are a little bit, but I think they turned out nice. So that is the first work in progress. I am knitting the size small. Those again are the Thick Mist reverse socks by Summerlee Knits, and the Thick Mist sock set is really nice for DK socks, DK weight socks. So you get like the plain basic DK weight sock pattern, but you also get this reverse version. There's like a scrappy version, and there's a cable knit version as well, and that's all part of the same like pattern pack. So the second one I will show you, but I think I'm gonna frog it. So I was talking to my friend Mariah when she was over making the holiday bags with me, and I was like, hey, you know, does your son like need anything like woolly, any knit stuff for the, you know, for the winter? And she was like, oh yeah, he could really use a new hat. So I got excited and I was like, oh, I can make like a cool scrappy hat. So I went looking for patterns, and I found the Sea Glass hat by, I think it's Wool and Pine. I'll put a picture of it so you can see what it's supposed to look like. Basically all the rows are, well, I don't want to say too much because it's a pay for pattern, but it's a scrappy color work pattern. And I was like, oh, that would be perfect. That would be so cool. Great way to use up lots of little colors. So I started knitting it. And the way, so you change both, you use 2 colors in each row and you change them at every row. So that's like a lot of color changing. And instead of weaving in all your ends, they recommend that you use magic knots to just, you know, continue knitting and cut off all the yarn ends. So I started this, and let me show you what I have. So I got this far, And I was doing this as like a D20 style project. So I picked out 20 different scrap colors. I just used this solid gray for the brim, and then I would roll the dice to randomly pick the colors. So I had all these pretty blues and some like yellow and these mauves. And I really liked how it was looking. However, I did learn how to do the magic knot, which is useful to know. I had not done that before. But I feel like it worked fine for most of these yarns, but one of these yarns was a superwash single, and it did not work. It does not hold for that yarn. I was tying the knots super tight, but they are already coming untied. So like here, you can see that one of them has come untied already. I actually put a little bit of fray check on it to keep it from unraveling, but the more I was working on this, I just felt nervous that this is for like a slightly over 1 year old child, and it, I think, needs to be able to hold up to some stress. And I wouldn't want to give anything to my friend that was gonna like potentially get holes in it or like fall apart. So Mariah, I know sometimes you watch, so if you're watching, hi, and also I'm restarting. So I do think I'm gonna frog this and do something more simple and something that will hold up to wear by a toddler in a better way. So however, I do think that this is very fun, the sea glass technique, and I would be tempted to make, honestly, I think one of the sweaters would be amazing if you were using like non-superwash scraps. I think it would be pretty awesome. So the technique is very fun. I just don't think in these yarns it's going to be practical for a toddler. So I'm going to probably just knit a more simple like basic hat or rib hat. We will see. So yeah, gonna frog this one, but it was fun and learned some new techniques along the way. No, it's on the floor. Whoops. Okay, 2 more. So next one I'm going to share is my tessellated pullover. So I have made some progress on this. It's coming along. My initial goal was to finish it by next weekend. Next weekend is Rhinebeck, New York Sheep and Wool Festival. I'm not going this year, but I thought that I would knit this in spirit and try to wear it the same weekend. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't have too much left to go. So let me show you. Last time I think I had finished the body and done the neckline, and I've now finished the first sleeve. So here's the body, and here's the first sleeve. Oh, I just finished it. All my little markers are hanging on there still. So the yarns I'm using, the navy is Barocco Lannis Light. The color is the solid navy. My contrasting color, which kind of goes from pink into yellow, and there's some teal. The back is much more like sunset-y colors, which is really nice. The contrast color is Primrose Yarn Co. Homestead Sport Base in the color Hipster, which is really nice. It's like a spin cycle-esque yarn. And then the fluff I'm using, which maybe you can see is the lighter blue, that is Fiber Spades Cumulus, which is a Surrey base. I don't remember the color name off the top of my head. But yeah, you can see the shoulder has this nice like exterior 3-needle bind off. So you get this seam here, which is really nice looking. And then, yeah, I got the first sleeve done. Yay! The sleeve fits really well. You can see it's a drop shoulder, but there's the drop shoulder seam there. But you can see there's this kind of right angle here. So it's a modified drop shoulder. So it fits there's not as much extra fabric under the arm as you would get with a lot of drop shoulder designs, which is really nice, and it fits very well. So yes, glad I finished the first sleeve. Now I feel like the second one will go faster. I know exactly how much I need to do. So I'm gonna knit the second sleeve. The body is too short. It might be way too short. Let me show you. So I like a crop sweater, but this is way too cropped. Like the front isn't like unbearable, but the back rides up a lot. Like it is too short. So I've been going back and forth. Part of me wants to just cut off the ribbing now and knit like another 1.5 inches and then reassemble it before I block it. But I think I really need to just be patient, finish the sleeve, block the whole thing, and then see how much I need to add, because I'm really not sure how much, if at all, it's gonna grow in the blocking. So Andrea said the body of hers grew like 1 to 2 inches in blocking, but all of the yarns used in her sample are superwash. My main color is not superwash, and it doesn't really feel like it's gonna grow a lot. So I'm gonna knit the other sleeve and then I'm gonna block it. And then I think what I'm gonna have to do, and I'm just resigning myself that I'm gonna have to do this, is cut the ribbing off, put it on another needle, cut it off, knit like another 1.5 inches probably onto the ribbing, and then graft it back together. That's like almost 400 stitches that I'm gonna have to graft here. But I'm trying to accept now that I'm gonna have to do that, because I love how this is turning out. It's just beautiful. Like the color changing, I love. Like when you're up close, you really can see like how beautiful the color shifts are. And I think I would just wear it all the time, but I need to make it fit correctly. So that is what I'm gonna have to do, and I have already accepted that, or I'm in the process of accepting it. Let's put it that way. So yes, that is my tessellated. It is coming right along. It is definitely a big project. I really love the mosaic knitting. I think it's beautiful. I love the colors that I chose. I love the texture and like the squishiness of the fabric, but it's a lot of knitting and it's fairly slow going. But I think the finished product is going to be well worth it. Okay, so I'm now going to talk about the WestKnits MKAL. I will give you a warning before I'm going to show anything. This was my first year. I decided to participate in Stephen West's Mystery Knitalong. This is an event that he hosts every year in October. And it's always a shawl, and it's always like this extravagant 4-week process. So if you're not familiar, a clue comes out every week and you don't know what the shawl is going to look like. So as you go, each week you get a new section of the pattern and it kind of builds on itself. And part of the fun is that there's so many people doing it together, and Steven's designs are like, part of it is like learning new things. So this is the first year I decided to try it, and it's also my first time ever knitting a Stephen West pattern. And needless to say, the MKAL had a very rocky start this year. I'm not gonna talk about it too much. If you know, you probably know about all the drama that happened. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I am going to link below to a video by, let me see, I have my notes here. A video by Emma in the Moment, who has a YouTube channel where they talk about like crafting drama, and all their videos are really good if you are interested. But they made a video about the start of the MKAL and just kind of explaining everything that happened, and I feel like they did a better job explaining it than I would, and I don't really want to take the time to break the whole thing down. So if you're interested in hearing more about it, or you have no idea what I'm talking about and you are curious, watch the video below that I'm going to link to Emma in the Moment. They did an explainer about the controversy. So all I will say is that the first clue came out on Thursday, October 5th, and I was so excited. I cast on right away and I was working on it, and by Friday afternoon I had 3/4 of the first clue finished when it was announced that the clue had been redesigned, and everyone was encouraged to knit the new version, strongly encouraged. And in brief, it's because the original clue resembled a hate symbol. So again, if you're interested in hearing more about that, I will refer you to the other video. But you know, once that was pointed out, I think there were like a lot of emotions, drama, and things were getting pretty heated on like the Ravelry forum and the comment posts of YouTube and everything. Stephen West has also released a couple of videos about this, and I can also link to those below. He made a video about like the new direction of the MKAL. So, you know, at first I feel like I went through like the stages of grief almost for like, oh, I just spent like 12 hours knitting this. And at first I was kind of angry. I was like, oh, I have to, you know, rip out all of this work. And yeah, once it was pointed out to me, I definitely did see the resemblance to the symbol. I'm using shades of purple for mine, so it wasn't like immediately obvious to me as I was knitting it, but once it was pointed out to me, I definitely did see the resemblance and decided I was going to frog it and start over, in the spirit of moving on with the MKAL, and also because I would never want anyone to be offended by something that I made or was wearing. I will say the techniques were really interesting in the original clue ones, so I'm glad that I at least got to like try the techniques and learn them. But yeah, I did frog it, and the other kind of frustrating thing was it was a bunch of little stripes. So when you frogged it, you had all these individual little balls of all your different colors. But what, yeah, sorry, it's kind of hard to talk about this. It was just like a very stressful and dramatic couple of days in like knitting world. And it got very toxic, like on the forums. So yeah, it was just wild. It was definitely not how I hoped my first MKAL experience to be, but I am really happy with the shawl that I am making, and I am still sticking with it, and I'm gonna carry on. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'll refer you to the videos if you're interested in hearing more about what happened. But the long and short of it is that the original clue one is no longer relevant. So I frogged mine and I started over. And so now I'm going to be sharing my work in progress and talking about the clues. So if you do not want to see, so I'm going to be showing all of clue 1 and half of clue 2. So if you don't want to see that, skip ahead to this timestamp, and then we'll be moving on to other things and you won't be at risk of seeing anything. So talking about the WestKnits MKAL in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the revised clue 1 was a series of like radiating squares. So it's a gradient theme. So let me show you my yarns. They are all Mamanoki. So I ordered a kit from WestKnits, and let's see if I can, sorry, there's a lot of yarns. I'm just gonna show you them in the basket. So here's my gradient. So this is my lightest color, second, third, and then darkest color. They're all Mamanoki yarns. They're 75% superwash, 25% polyamide, and all the colors are like fruit themed. So, sorry, I'm trying to find all the ball bands. Wow. Sorry. I had a lot of things to gather for today's podcast. They're kind of all over the place. Okay, so the lightest one is Strawberry Cream. The really bright one here is Framboise, which I think is French for raspberry. This one here is Grape. And then this darkest one is Cassis, which I think is also like black currant. So they're really pretty, bold colors. And I really like how they're working out. It's not like super typical colors for me, but I really enjoy them. So I was kind of, once I decided I was gonna frog the original clue, I was having a very hard time finding the motivation and like inspiration to start the new clue that was just the radiating squares, because it seemed very boring compared to the original design. And also I just was like, I just spent like 12 hours knitting. I cannot do that again. So I was kind of looking around on Instagram and I was totally inspired by Yana at Finished Knitting Stories to restart mine with a granny square. So Yana, I am jumping in on your Geogradient rebrand of Geogradient, and I decided to start mine with a granny square. So I'll try and just show that section right now. Sorry, there's a lot of like cords on this and stuff. So here is the first half of the first clue. So yeah, I did, I used a 4mm hook, and I went from light to dark. I used each color 3 times. So it still captures that like radiating concentric squares look, but it was 100 times faster to knit. And the whole shawl is purportedly inspired by like retro wallpaper and like 70s graphic design. So I feel like the granny square crochet just like really works with that theme. So thank you, Yana, for inspiring me and having that idea. And then I did knit the 4 stripes around the outside, which that was part of the original clue 1. It had the design in the center and then it had the striped border. So I did just use the original striped border to get up to the correct stitch count. So that's my clue 1. I really love my colors. I really love how it is looking. And then clue 2 came out this week. And let me show you what I have. Half of clue 2 done. So here's clue 2. So in clue 2, we start building out. So I'm getting the impression that it might be like a long rectangular shape. And so I just finished the first side that builds off just these 2 sides. And it is more radiating stripes, but there are eyelets incorporated in every other stripe. And I think that looks really good with the granny square texture. And then here we also incorporated the mohair dare, which is like an optional place to include mohair in your design if you're interested. So I was kind of looking around in my stash to see, do I have any mohair I can use? And I did, so I decided to add some. So I had the white, off-white kid silk haze that I had used in my cinnabar shawl. I had leftovers from that. So I held that with color 1. And then this is also going to be in acquisitions, but I had recently purchased a hand-dyed Surrey for a project, which I will show again later. And it is this really pretty like purple variegated. So I decided to hold that. I feel like logically it would make sense to hold this with the darkest color because they're very similar. But Steven recommended doing the mohair dare on the eyelet rows. And so that meant holding it with either color 1 or color 3. So I decided to hold it together with color 3. And I think it worked really well. So you can see on the first row with color 1, I held the off-white mohair with the lightest purple. And then in the third row, I held that variegated mohair with this like plum kind of raspberry color. And I think it worked really well. And just adds like a little bit of texture, and you can see little pops of the like yellow and the other colors from the Surrey. So yeah, I like that I also got in a mohair and a Surrey, so the textures are a little bit different, but they're both really soft. So let me see if I can kind of show the whole thing. Yeah. So here's what I have so far. Finished clue 1. Clue 1 was this square. And then half of clue 2, which is this, this side coming off. And then the other half of clue 2 is just doing the same thing on the other side. So I do really like how it looks. I'm very glad that I restarted. I kind of can't believe that I made all of this in like the past 4 or 5 days. So yeah, I am really glad that I decided to redo it. There was like a nanosecond where I was like, Do I just keep the old one? But I'm glad I didn't, for all the reasons that Steven says. You know, we don't ever want to offend anyone. No one needs to be hurt by a knitting pattern. And that was clearly going to be the centerpiece of this design. And also the way that the symbol was in the square, when it was worn diagonally, it was very apparent, like more so than if it was square. And now that we've seen Clue 2 and know that it was going to be in this orientation, I'm very glad that they changed it. I will say, I think Steven West handled this situation as well as he could have. Yeah, again, I'm just not going to get into it too much because I don't know what to say, and others are saying it more elegantly than I would. So I would direct you to those videos if you're interested in hearing more. But I am carrying on with the MKAL, and I'm really curious if you all are still carrying on. I know for a lot of people, what happened kind of put them off it entirely. So I will be moderating the comments on this video. I'm not interested in sparking like controversial debates or seeing any hateful comments. But if you are continuing with the MKAL, or, you know, I would love to hear what your new Clue 1 looks like and just how you're feeling about the whole experience. I will say, with this being my first MKAL, it's been a little bit simpler than I expected. I feel like Steven West is known for these like really crazy, extravagant designs, and I feel like this one's a little tame. So I'm hoping he really brings it in the next Clues. I know he has said that Clues 3 and 4 are his favorite, so I'm assuming it's gonna get a little more wild from here. But I am excited to carry on and see where it goes from here. There's like half of it, so you can see. But yeah, do let me know if you are still working on it or if you've knit one in the past. I'm curious about your experiences, but can't say that it was a perfect start to this year. But I do like how it's coming along. So that is all I'm gonna say about that. If you were avoiding spoilers, welcome back. We are gonna move on to what's next, the giveaway. Okay, so I have a giveaway for you all today. I recently hit 500 subscribers, and I'm so excited about that. And as a thank you, I'm gonna do a giveaway. So when I started this channel at the beginning of the year, I honestly thought, like, if I got 100 subscribers, like, that would be so amazing. I just wanna like create this little community where we can all share about our projects and what's inspiring us. And the fact that there are now over 500 people here just really warms my heart, and I'm so grateful to all of you for watching and commenting. I read every comment. I try to respond to every comment. And yeah, just thank you all for being here. I really love the community that we're creating here, and I hope that you do too. So as a giveaway, as a little gift for you all, I am going to be giving away a couple of things. So the first thing is a sock set. So I have this sock set. It is this really pretty like creamy white base with all these colorful speckles. There's a lot of teal, but there's also like green and red and purple. And then it comes with this little mini that is like this really pretty chartreuse. This is by Earl Grey Fiber Company. It is the Darjeeling sock set. It's a 4-ply, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. In total, it's 120 grams, 550 yards. And the colorway is Sugar on Snow. So it really does look like you just took a handful of like rainbow sprinkles and like threw them in the snow. So that's such a sweet name. And then to go along with this, so my sister works for a local jewelry company called Red Giraffe Designs, and she makes a lot of my stitch markers for me. So as a special prize to go with this sock set, I asked her to make a set of stitch markers for you. So here they are. So they're these very small stitch markers, which this is the preferred size that I like to use when I'm knitting socks. Can you see that? Hopefully you can. Yeah, so there's yellow, green, orange, purple, blue, and they match the sock set. How fun. Yes, and so these are basically little hoops, like little hoop earrings, and they are, they open and close. So I guess they're more like a progress keeper, but you could also use them as a stitch marker on a small circumference needle. So yes, I am giving away this sock set and the matching stitch markers. And if you're interested in entering the giveaway, what you need to do is subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, like this video, and then comment below and tell me about your favorite fall tradition. So what is that one thing you have to do every fall that just makes you feel like all the cozy feels or is a family tradition? So yes, like, subscribe, and comment below about your favorite fall tradition. I will announce the winner on the next episode, so that'll probably be in 2 weeks. So we'll say it'll be open until then. I will randomly select a winner, and then I will announce the winner on the next episode, so I will not comment below. I will try to respond to all of your comments, but I won't be telling you that you've won anything in the comments below. If you receive any messages like that, that is not me, that's probably a scammer, so please just be careful. You know, it's fun to do these kind of things, but we all have to be careful with our personal information. So I will only announce the winner in the next episode, and then you will be responsible for contacting me. And that's how we keep it all safe and protect everyone's information. So sock set, stitch markers, like, subscribe, comment below about your favorite fall activity or tradition, and I will announce the winner on the next episode. Okay, so now I'm gonna go through some of the things that have been going on lately, some of the different events, and I will talk a little bit about them. Then I will show some video footage, and then I will show the acquisitions. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Wool Gathering, which is a fiber festival, a small fiber festival that happens in Yellow Springs, Ohio. This was in the middle of September. I don't remember all the dates now. I think it was like the second or third weekend in September. And Yellow Springs is a really cute little town. It's near Dayton, Ohio. It's kind of southwest maybe, or west somewhere of Columbus. And it's a very cute little artsy town. If you ever get a chance to visit or drive through, it's worth a stop. And there is a very famous, huge creamery there. It's called Young's Jersey Dairy. They have a lot of the fall events, and they kind of hosted the Wool Gathering like in the field across from their facility. So I went to this with my mom, who is an avid crocheter, and my sister, and Troy came along as well because they wanted to go into Yellow Springs with us and check out like the little shops, and there's a nice brewery there. So we went and had a fun little day of it. It's about a 45-minute drive from where I live. Yeah, and it was my first time going to a fiber festival. So when we first went in, there were a bunch of animals, you know, all kinds of sheep, alpacas. There were no llamas, but there was a yak. There were actually 3 yaks. There was parents and a baby yak, and they were so cool. So I guess there's a yak farm in Michigan, and they brought their yaks, and it was so cool to interact with them. So I have some video footage of them, and I will insert the video footage now. So we had a great time at the festival, and as you can see, there were all kinds of animals and great vendors there. So let me show you what I purchased there. I'll try to go in order of when I purchased them. So the first thing that caught my eye was this naturally dyed indigo yarn from Hill and Hollow Farm. It says certified organic since 1998. They are based in South Central Kentucky. They use all organic plant dyes. This is Japanese indigo. So this is 4 ounces, 220 yards. I think I would call this an Aran. Yeah, I would say this is definitely an Aran weight. And I just thought it was so beautiful. It's also spun there. So they grow the wool, they process it, they dye it, they spin it, and it is just this beautiful tonal indigo. I did buy a sweater quantity of this, and I am planning to make the mandolin cardigan by Amy Christophers. I'll put a picture in. I think I'll slightly crop mine, but I think it's just gonna be stunning in this tonal indigo yarn. I did ask them about the color fastness of this, as you know, I was mildly concerned, like, will the indigo run? But they said that it's really good. So as long as you treat it like you would treat any other hand knit wool garment, it should have really good color fastness. It is a bit thick and thin. You can see here there's a bit of unspun, but I love that texture, and I think in something like the mandolin cardigan that's all over lace, it'll look really good. So I'm very excited about this. Yes, I just sniffed it. It smells very sheepy. So that was probably my biggest purchase at Wool Gathering. I think I got 5 skeins of that. Next up, I bought these from different vendors, but I was looking for 2 very specific colors of sock yarn for a sock design that I'm working on, which is still a secret, but I'm hoping to cast these on sooner rather than later. So the first color I was looking for was a really saturated rusty brown, and I found that from Allegheny Fiber Arts, who are based in Bradford, PA. Here is the yarn. So it's just gorgeous. It's coming a little brighter on the screen than it is in real life. I would say, like, that's pretty accurate. It just kind of glows. It's just this beautiful tonal. It is 90% superwash, 10% nylon, made in the USA. The color is rust. So yeah, it's just perfect. And then I was looking for a really vibrant purple. We use a color at work, it's a Pantone standard, called Purple Cactus Flower. So maybe that is what it looks like. It's just this super vibrant purple. And I found that from Behind the Pines. So it's like this pinky purple, super bright, also a beautiful tonal. This is called their Emma fingering base. It's also 90% superwash, 10% nylon, and the color is called Berry Burst. So I will be holding these together. Oh, they look so good together. I will be holding these together for a new colorwork sock design that I'm working on. Secret, top secret. But yeah, I think they just look so good together, and I cannot wait to cast that on. So that is exciting. Next I got some buttons. So I'm sorry, there's gonna be a little crinkling. So there was a stall that had South American wools and all kinds of South American products, and they had these really cool buttons, and they were telling us all about them. So they're made from the tagua nut, which is like a South American nut, and they were saying it's almost like ivory, like it's that like hard, but they had all these really cool buttons. So they're all like, I'm trying to show you, like they're all like irregular shapes. So I got like a set of black ones, and I got a set of brown ones, and I got these really cool pink ones that have like a little bit of black around the edge. But yeah, these are carved from nuts, and I just thought that those would be really pretty on a cardigan, and they were like a quarter, or I think they were like 10 cents a piece or something. Sorry, trying to put them back in the bag. yeah, so they're really cool and unique, and I hope to put them on a cardigan or something someday. I also bought some more buttons from my favorite Hollandhoof Farm Store. They were there. I've bought some buttons from them before and I just love them. So I did buy this little string of terracotta buttons from them. They have a little bit of a, I'm trying how to show these. They have a bit of a like glaze, like a pink kind of glaze, and they are just fired terracotta. So these will probably go on a shirt, but I just thought they were beautiful. I really come to appreciate a ceramic button. I just think they add something extra special, and these are made at a local farm here in Ohio. I will link them below as well. They have beautiful buttons. Most of their buttons are like quilt blocks or little flowers or mushrooms. Like, they're really beautiful. And the last thing I bought at the festival, so I'm going to show you a very messy skein of Knitwear. It's like exploded out the top. I got this Knitwear in a D-stash. It is the exact same color as my wall hanging. Knitwear is a Swedish unspun yarn, so you can see it's just barely there, like pencil roving. And I'm planning to knit a ranunculus out of this, which I'm hoping to cast on this week. But I wanted to get some mohair to hold with it. So that was the main thing I was looking for at the wool gathering. And I didn't find anything until the very last little place I went into, which was the Frogget Yarns truck. And at that point I was kind of desperate. So I did like what I got. Let me show you. So I bought this skein of Surrey to hold with it. Because I thought that the colors in this would bring like a really pretty tonality to the Knitwear. This is the skein I saw first, and I loved the colors in this one. So I just grabbed it, thinking it was mohair because I was in a hurry. Then of course I get home and realize it's Surrey, which is fine, but I think it might knit up thicker than I wanted it to. And the second skein that I grabbed is much darker. I didn't like it as much. So, and the second skein is actually the one I'm using in my WestKnits MKAL. So now I'm kind of like, I might save this for something else and keep looking for the perfect like mohair to pair with my Knitwear, but I was hoping to cast that on this week. So TBD. But now I have this really pretty Surrey to use for something. That is everything I got at wool gathering. It was really fun. It was, I think, for a first fiber festival experience, it was a really good one. It was manageable, but there was still a lot to see. There was so much fiber and spinning stuff there. I was very tempted to buy spinning stuff, even though I'm not a spinner yet. But there was a lot of that, and it was very cool. The next big thing that we have done since we last talked was our trip to the West Coast. So we flew into Seattle and we did all the Seattle things. We were there for 3 days visiting family. We did the Space Needle, of course, which was very cool. We went to Pike Place Market, which I loved. It has retained so much of its character. I think I expected it to be much more like touristy, and there was a little bit of that, but it still very much feels like a place that locals go to. And like it's a very special, cool place. Had some great food there. And then one day we went out to Bainbridge Island. I got to shop at La Mercerie in person, which is one of my favorite yarn stores to shop online, but it was so nice to go in person. I got to meet Jess, the owner, and she was so sweet and helpful. And we also went to Blodell Reserve on the island, which is a stunning nature preserve. If you ever get the chance to go, highly recommend it. Bainbridge Island was a very fun little day trip, well worth it. And we got to go on the ferry, which was cool. So after our time in Seattle, we went down to Eugene, Oregon, drove down to Oregon to visit my cousin and stay with her for a couple of days. And, when we were in Seattle, we were go, doing all the touristy things. But in Eugene, it was much more just spending time with my cousin and her friends and much more relaxed. you know, we went to the farmer's market, we started our knitting projects together. On Sunday, we just like did the crossword all together, the New York Times crossword over breakfast and like hanging out throughout the day. We did visit the Eugene Raptor Center where they rehabilitate birds, like a lot of owls and hawks and eagles, and that was really interesting. I have some footage of that. And then we did one night in Portland, Oregon on our way back up to Seattle because we flew out of Seattle. And on our last day, we drove out to Mount Rainier. I don't know if I got any footage of that. It was pretty cloudy. We did get to see it briefly, but it was pretty cold and rainy and cloudy. So yeah, but we had a great time. It was great to see family. Definitely got to buy some yarn, some books. So I'm gonna put the footage of that in now, and then I will show you what I bought out there after the footage. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed the footage from our trip. I tried to remember to take footage of things whenever I could. I definitely didn't capture everything, but I tried to get a little glimpse of it, most of it to share with you all. So let me show you what I got out there. So Pike Place Market actually has 2 yarn vendors in the market. So if you're ever at Pike Place, there is an opportunity to buy yarn there. So on the first level on the inside, I found MJ Yarns, and I got a skein of their locally dyed sock yarn. So here it is. It's this really pretty, like purple gray, a little bit of like chartreuse. This is their Sophista sock base. It's 75% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and 10% tencel, which I thought was kind of interesting in a sock, but I think that gives it a nice drape and like a sheen. It is 390 yards, and the color is called Purple Moss, and it definitely does have that look. So really lovely sock skein. Most of all the rest of the yarns that I purchased in Washington, I purchased at La Mercerie when we were on Bainbridge Island. So the first 2 things that I bought were 2 skeins of La Bien-Aimée Merino Twist fingering weight. So La Mercerie carries a lot of La Bien-Aimée. They have so many beautiful yarns in there. It was hard to not buy everything, honestly. But I did pick up these 2 skeins of the La Bien-Aimée Merino Twist. So the base is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I bought these to make a pair of pressed flowers socks. So I really wanted to cast on a pair of these right when the pattern came out, but you would think I would, but I really didn't have yarn in my stash that was going to be a good combo for that pattern. So I wanted to get yarn for that. So this solid, this is a really dark teal. The color is pretty accurate. The base is called Emmeline. It's beautiful. It's a tonal. I love this color. Oh, I might need a sweater in this color at some point. And then the contrast, the color that will be in the flowers, is Autumn Hydrangea, and this is the custom colorway for La Mercerie. So I felt like this was really special to get it there at their shop. The color is showing up really accurate right now. It's just this beautiful, like soft pink, peachy colors with these speckles. And there's some of the teal in the speckles. So I think those are gonna be so pretty together as a pair of pressed flower socks. And I can't decide what I wanna cast on first. These are my secret design project. once I finish the socks for Troy, I'm gonna be casting one of those on. I also got there this skein of bright red. Woo! Yep, it's that red. This is La Bien-Aimé's Sport Nouveau. I think this is a newer base for them. It is 100% non-superwash fine merino, and this color is Coquelicot. It is very bright red. And initially I thought I was gonna make a hat out of this for myself, but then I knit the other red hat that I showed you earlier that was supposed to be for Troy, and he didn't like it, and now it's mine. So I'm like, do I really need 2 red hats? I don't know. So this might become something else, but I just bought the one skein because I love the color and I wanted to try the base. So this could easily become like a cowl or something else, although I do think a hat would be very good. So we shall see. Maybe it'll still become a hat. One of the other things I wanted to get there, because they carry Knitting for Olive, I really wanted to knit the little bear bonnet by Knitting for Olive. I can put a picture in. At the time, one of my friends was expecting her first child, and I was planning to knit it for them. However, the baby decided to come pretty early. Everyone is doing great, so that is really good, and I'm very happy for them, but I kind of like lost my mojo now on knitting that little bear bonnet, I guess. So I might still knit it, or I might just knit like a more traditional hat. I don't know, maybe I'll still knit the bear bonnet. I don't know, I can't decide, but I did pick up yarns there to knit it. So I got the Knitting for Olive merino and the soft silk mohair. The merino is in the color dark moose, which is like grayish brown, and the mohair is brown bear. So moose and bear together is this really pretty soft brown. Yeah, so I may still knit that, or I may just knit this as a hat for someone else or as a baby hat. I don't know. It did occur to me that this is these are not superwash. So I think I was caught up in the like, that little bonnet is so cute, but I also don't want to give impractical baby gifts to people. So I do try to keep baby knits in superwash wool at the very least, if not acrylic. So I may use these for something else. These would probably be a good hat for Troy. So we'll see. But I just got one skein of each. And last but not least, I did get a sweater quantity of La Bien-Aimé. I'm obsessed with this. So I went a little La Bien-Aimé crazy because I've never been able to purchase it in person before, and seeing it, I just got really excited. It really is beautiful. Like the colors are beautiful, the textures are beautiful. So I found this color in the Corey worsted. This color is called Payne's Gray, and you're probably like, that's just gray, why are you so excited? But it really is, it's more blue than it's showing up on the screen. It is just this beautiful dark blue gray, and the reason I love it is because Payne's Gray is my all-time favorite paint color. I went to art school. I love painting. If you had asked me what I wanted to do when I was like in early high school or middle school, I would have told you that I wanted to be a painter. I love painting, still do it fairly often. I love watercolors. And Payne's Gray is my favorite color. So when you're in art school, I don't know if this is true for every art school, but at my art school, we were not allowed to use black. So you could not use like black paint or a black colored pencil or anything. We had to create our own dark colors using other colors. And Payne's Gray is a color that we were allowed to use. And so everyone was very well acquainted with it, because to achieve dark colors, you almost always had to use this. But I just love it. And it just evokes like a lot of memories for me of being in art school and painting. And it just feels like a cozy color for me, and I love it. So I am planning to make the perennial sweater with this, which I actually bought this yarn thinking that I would knit the Prairie Skies which I'll put a picture of that in. That is one of the designs from the newest issue of Pom Pom magazine, which has the like crochet yoke, and it's beautiful. And I bought this thinking, oh, I'll make that. So the that sweater quantity of yarn of the Cascade 220 is now back up for grabs. So I actually think that would be perfect for the prairie skies. So then I was like, oh, well, what will I now do with this? And I saw the perennial sweater. I'll put a picture of that in. This is a design by Norgon. I think it may also have been in a Pom Pom magazine at one point, but it is now available for individual purchase. And it is stunning. It has these staggered cable columns on the front, and it has a really cool high-low hem. And this Corey worsted is actually the recommended yarn for that pattern. So that just felt perfect. This color is also fairly similar to the color of the sample, so I think that is going to be amazing, and I'm really excited to cast that on. This project and this project, I am so excited about both of them. I am literally itching to cast them on, but I have other things that I'm determined to finish first. I will not let myself cast one of these on before I finish the tessellated pullover. I really need to finish that. So yes, I'm very excited about that. Honestly, out of all the things that I bought and have shown here, this sweater quantity is my favorite. And this yarn is just also beautiful. It's 75% Falkland Corriedale, 25% Gotland. So it's a really interesting blend, and it is stunning. So I'm very excited about it. On our last leg of the trip, when we were in Portland, we went to Powell's, which, if you're not familiar, is a humongous bookstore there. You have to visit that. It's like a must-see if you're going to Portland. It's amazing. And I did pick up a used, they have, in most sections, they have like a used section and a new section, which is really cool. And in the crafting section, I picked up a copy of Vanishing Fleece by Clara Parks. This book came out like 2 or 3 years ago, I think, but I'm super interested to read it. It says, Clara Parks presents a fast-paced account of the year she spent transforming a 676-pound bale of wool into commercial yarn and the people and vanishing industry she discovered along the way. So I recently read Unraveling by Peggy Ornstein, which was also really good. I think that was more of like one woman's journey to make a sweater completely from scratch, whereas I think this is going to be more on like the industrial scale, but a similar story. So excited to read that. That's all the acquisitions from the Seattle trip. Like I said, this is a bit of an acquisition heavy episode, just because all of these things were kind of yarn related. So I have, let's see, checking my notes, don't want to forget anything. Okay, so after we got back from our trip, one of our local yarn stores, so to speak, was having a de-stash on the lawn event. This is something they do a couple times a year. If you've been here for a while, you might have seen me do a video about their craft supply swap. So every summer they have an event where you can bring any supplies for whatever craft that you no longer want and put them out on tables and take whatever you want from other people. So that is like a freebie, like you take what you no longer want, other people bring what they no longer want, everybody takes what they want, and there's no money exchange, that's all free. This event is for like local community members. I think you pay like $10 or $20 to set up a table, and you can sell things from your stash. So they're still deeply discounted, but you know, people like, especially a lot of like nicer materials, if you want to recuperate some of your costs, this is a good way to do it. So let me pause here and I will show you what I picked up at that event. Okay, so the first thing I grabbed was this little bundle of minis. It has so many tags on it. This is a Woolstock. It's a Woolstock bundle, so it's by Blue Sky Fibers. There are 21 mini hanks. Let's see, it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. Each one is 5 grams, so they're real little minis. But the colors are so pretty. I especially love this one that's like all the tonal colors. They're all heathers, and there's just a bunch of them. So I was thinking these would be a really pretty cowl of some kind, and I might try and knit that up as like a Christmas gift or something. I think I paid $15 for this bundle. And then all the rest of what I got was from the same person. And I literally could not believe the prices they were asking for these. So I'm sorry for the crinkling. This stuff is packaged and I'm not gonna unpackage it. The first thing I saw was this bag. It has 5 skeins of Madeline Tosh. Let me see, let me take one out. So it has 5 skeins of Madeline Tosh Long Rider DK, and the color is beautiful. It's called Cold Drip, so it is this like warm brown, but it's kind of pink. It's really pretty, and there's 5 skeins of that. So it's 75% merino, 25% nylon. It's a DK weight. It's beautiful. So I have 5 skeins of this, and this entire bag, all 5 skeins, total, I paid $20 for this bag, which is like crazy. Then, more crinkling, I'm sorry. From the same person, I also got this bag, which has 6 skeins in it. This is DK Twist. This one's 100% merino wool. Again, I paid $20 for this entire bag. So I got 11 skeins of Madeline Tosh DK for $40. And when I saw these, hello, I immediately knew what I wanted to make with them. I want to make the heirloom quilt cardigan. Here's a picture of the design. It came out recently. It's beautiful. You make all these little mismatched quilt square blocks, sew them together, and then add sleeves and a band. And when it came out, I was like, oh, I want to knit that so bad. But it takes a lot of yarn, a lot of different colors. I didn't have it in stash. But when I saw these, I was like, these would be perfect for that. So yeah, and here there's like a taupe, a brighter orange, a dark purple, a gray, cream, and pink. And I think these colors would be so pretty in the squares with this, and then this as like the main color in the sleeves. $40? I could not believe that. I'm very excited. I want to cast that on really bad. And then the last thing I got from that person, they had all their single skeins for $5, and I got this really good hot pink. Wow, it is so bright. It is that bright in real life. It is like burning your eyes neon. It's spun right round from Rochester, New York. Their classic sock base, 100% superwash merino. Yeah, it's beautiful. This one does say it was a seconds skein, so the hot pink will probably bleed, so they did not recommend using it like in color work or something. I will probably just knit an insane pair of socks out of this and make sure I wash them by themselves. But yeah, that is what I got at the D stash. Literally cannot believe I got all that Madeline Tosh yarn for $40. I am thrilled about that. I'm thinking about casting on that cardigan as my craft night project. So I think I mentioned on my last video that I have started a local craft night. So the knit night that I was going to is not going to be happening over the winter because they need to be hosting classes on the night that they were previously hosting the knit night, which totally understand. So I reached out to a local bar called Uppbeat Beer Garden. It's very cool. It's in an old firehouse that they renovated, and I'll try and get some footage from, so sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. We had the first get together and it was really fun and really good, and I'm so excited about the whole thing. So the second one is coming up this Tuesday, October 17th. So if you're local to Columbus and you want to come hang out with us, bring your own craft. There's food and drinks available for purchase if you're interested. We will be there from 6 to 9 at Uppbeat Beer Garden in Old Town East. And yeah, if you're local, I hope you can join us. It's very cool. I kind of want to cast that project on as my thing to like work on those nights, because I think the little squares would be very portable and like super easy to just bring with me, do the same thing over and over again, easy to work on. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm really, really glad that I started the craft night. It's very fun, and I hope we can keep it going. So the second one is this week, and then the week after that, we're gonna carve pumpkins. So we're gonna do some like special other craft nights as well. The bar is so cool. The owners are super nice and awesome. They have these amazing stained glass windows that they had custom made for their bar. And last time we were talking all about those with the owner. So maybe I'll try and get some video footage next time and I can like share those with you because they're so amazing and the story behind them is really cool too. Yeah, so last but not least, I'm going to share my last acquisition and then I'm going to talk about one more thing and then I'm going to stop talking because it's probably been like well over an hour at this point. So I am a big fan of Mackenzie at Into the Third podcast, and I decided to join her sticker club because the one for this month was so cute. I just had to have it. So I've started putting stickers on my filing cabinet back here, and so now I just want all the stickers. So this was her sticker sheet for this month. Like, how could I not? It's all my favorite things. So there's a cable knit sweater, a crock pot or a Dutch oven, quilt block, tea, an apple, and a Halloween VHS. But yeah, I'm gonna be adding those to my cabinet back here. That is it. That was a lot of acquisitions. I'm on a bit of a, I need to cool it with the acquisitions and start knitting a lot of this stuff up, but I do have plans for most of it and I'm excited for all of it. So last thing I was just going to show you is the Renaissance Festival. So I went last weekend, 2 weekends ago, for the first time. It was super fun. It was incredibly crowded. We made the first, I think, a slight mistake of going on Viking weekend, which is apparently the most popular, and the weather was really nice. It was the first kind of like cool fall weekend. So it was so crowded. At one point they had to start turning people away. And it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, if I got all dressed up and drove an hour and they wouldn't let me in, I would be so annoyed. But thankfully we got there early, we got in. It was really fun. I have a little bit of footage from it. So I'll put that in here and then I will just wrap up at the end. So hopefully you saw my little outfit. I did get to wear my Cinear Shaw, which was fun. We had a good time. The corset that I'm wearing and the vest that Troy's wearing, if you saw that in the video, they match. Hopefully I put some still photos in too that we had. I actually made those last year for a pirate themed party that we were going to, but I think they worked just as well for the Renaissance Festival. Troy got his turkey leg. He was very happy. No turkey leg for me, but he enjoyed his. We had a good time. I would definitely go again next year on a less busy weekend. But yeah, making this corset for our friend really kind of made me want to like make an outfit or costume for myself to wear next year. So that was really fun. Let me know down below if any of you have like been to the Renaissance Festival this year or if that's something that you enjoy. And thank you. That's it. I was honestly kind of intimidated to make this video because I knew I had so much that I had to share and it was kind of all over the place, but thank you all so much for hanging with me. If you made it till the end, that was a marathon. Do enter the giveaway if you're interested, the 500 subscriber giveaway. Again, to enter to win, like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then comment below about your favorite fall activity or tradition. I will pick the winner on the next episode. And just thank you again for being here. I am overwhelmed by the amount of people that have, you know, showed up, watched videos, commented. It's really heartwarming, and I really enjoy making these, and so much of what is great about it is the interaction that I get to have with you all. So please leave me a comment. I hope you'll enter the giveaway, and I will see you all next time. I hope you're having a lovely start to your fall and getting lots of crafting time in. So see you next time. Bye.